What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I am back with another review of Ready to Love: The Last Resort. This is season 3, episode 8, and the episode is titled "Fanning the Flames of Love." And I know that I'm coming to you guys late with this, but hopefully you guys still enjoy this review. So let's go ahead and get started. So we open the show with everyone gathering in that common area that they have, and Tommy saying, they're going to have a cookout because, he missed some really good cooking, and I feel like this is what will, bring all the couples together. So, and of course he asks Edwin to help him out because Edwin is a chef, and of course he's like, I'll help out, wherever. So we then see people coupling off to have breakfast, and we happen to see Calfani talking to who? Adriana, of course, because he's not giving Denise any attention. So we happen to see Denise, like, she can basically see them from where her seat is, and she's just staring out over there, peeping to see what's happening. And, in her confessional, she's like, well, two can play that game. And I'm like, I don't think he's playing a game. I just don't feel like, I don't think that he likes Denise as much as he likes Adriana, but he's still going to try to keep Denise around just to have her in his back pocket because he already knows how much that Denise likes him. So he's like, she's always going to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and go be with the fun, bubbly girl. I'm sorry, but for me, that is a red flag. Denise, that is not what you want, okay? Because I feel like if there's any guy that will literally tell you to put your feelings on hold, don't let me know how jealous you are that I'm out here with another woman, but let me go ahead and have my fun while you sit back and wait for me at the house. If that's not the energy he's giving, I don't know what it is, y'all. Like, seriously, I wish that she would put more energy into Anthony than she puts into, Calfani, because honestly, he's wasting her time. So we do see Denise and Anthony go on a cute little date or whatever. I mean, it was more so just them having a conversation and her telling him about her time in New York. And, I've realized that Anthony is a great listener, but we also don't know much about Anthony. Like, I feel like I don't really hear him talk about himself that much. Actually, I feel like we hardly hear the guys, really go deep and talk about, personal things that are going on with them. The only ones I can recall of are Rashid and Edwin, who's constantly talking about his PTSD, and we're going to get more into that later. So the next date that we see is Joy and Jay, and they do a little wine tasting. He doesn't really know much about wines, but she does. And I will say that, like, they are really cute together, and it is very clear that they have chosen each other. It's like Winter who, Edwin who, we don't know those people. Joy and Jay have definitely chosen each other. It was cute to see them kiss. I was like, ooh, look at that, And of course, Jay, he did kind of have a slip up saying that the wine, he was describing Joy as a wine, he was like 1 out of 12 or something. I don't know what he was trying to say, but yeah, he was trying to sell it to her, okay? And that's pretty much that on that date. I will say that I wish that he would open up more, but maybe he does when they're talking privately. But then again, I don't feel like I know that much about Joy either, besides that she's done, like, some self-work and she's gone to therapy. Alright, so we next see Rashid. He's on a date with Adriana, and I mean, this date idea was actually really cute, where he just got some cameras and they, like, went around having, like, a little mini photo shoot with each other, and they actually have the discussion of having kids again. And I'm like, yeah, this is cute, but I still feel like she is treating Rashid like that fallback guy. Like, I feel like she is way more into Calfani than she is into Rashid. Also, I feel like Adriana has not had to put into any effort, with these guys. Like, she just sits there and she just looks pretty and she's bubbly, but she doesn't exactly have, real conversations. I feel like everything is still very surface with her. I mean, I may feel this way because I want Rashid to do better than Adriana. Like, I feel like him and Simone would have been a better fit. And there are some things that they talked about a little bit later in this episode that I'm going to touch on as to why I feel that way. And speaking of Simone, she has a conversation with Edwin that went left so quick. I mean, it went left as soon as it started. So she basically is sitting with him by the pool, and she's like asking him about, how he grew up or whatever. And he's just very chill about it. Like, I grew up with my mom and my sisters, and I have a brother. And like, I don't know how or why, but she just started to like interrogate him. Like, so you didn't have your dad? Well, where was your dad at? How did that make you feel? You had to have felt something. Like, I'm sorry. First, she kept cutting him off, and I'm like, girl, let this man answer these questions, first of all. And secondly, how are you going to tell him how he feels about not having a father in his household? Because here's the thing. Now, I don't know how Edwin grew up, but at the same time, it's like, if all he knew was his mom, and his mom held him down and his mom took care of him when his dad decided to step away, I feel like that's an acceptable answer. I'm sorry, people may have a feeling about me saying this, but y'all are not about to Iyanla everybody's situation, okay? I don't know what has happened in today's society. That I understand therapy is great and all of that, but what we're not going to do is act like, oh, if you don't have a dad, you automatically have abandonment issues. You automatically have all these issues. Like, for some people, just having their mom was enough. Because regardless of if your dad died, or if because your mom may not have ever dated after your dad died, or if your father stepped away and didn't come back into your life, either way, you grew up without a dad. And there are people who have grew up just fine without having this dad that's supposed to be oh so great. I mean, also, let's not forget that there are some dads who stick around and they're still shitty. So for her to really interrogate him and try to tell him how he feels, I just feel like that was so overboard. And I'm like, really, Simone? I was rooting for you. I thought that, I don't know. I just feel like I was expecting more out of her. But also, I just feel like the projection of you must feel some type of way because your dad isn't there, like, I kind of give a side eye to. Because at the end of the day, I don't know how Edwin grew up. Like, maybe he had some great other male role models that were like a dad, because honestly we wouldn't even know, because she never let him finish a sentence. So he may have had a great relationship with his grandfather. He could have had some great uncles that really stepped up. We don't know. They have another one of those little rap sessions. I'm going to skip right over that. Like, I'm sorry, but I do not want to see these old people rapping. But I will say that Alex, she let it be known that, she has her eyes on Brian as well as Rashid. I still find it kind of random that she's interested in Rashid, because she did kind of play herself and put all her eggs in Brian's basket. So as I mentioned earlier, that Simone had another conversation with Rashid, and he was just trying to say, what makes you so attracted to me? Like, what do you see in me? And she's like, you've been married before, so you've kind of already gone through some things, and the steps that you need to take to, make a marriage better, and that you had some downfalls before. Just like basically saying that because you've been through some things, you've been through a marriage before, you know what partnerships look like, and that maybe in the past things didn't go how it should have, or there are things that you could have handled better. Therefore, in your next relationship, you're willing to put in that effort to make things better. And I'm like, you know what? I am actually enjoying this conversation. This is probably one of the only, I would say, deeper conversations that I've heard, on the show, because like I said, there's so much dating around on this season that there are not real deep connections, I feel like, are being made. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like, oh, what do you like to do on the weekend? What's your favorite color type conversations, instead of what do you think a marriage looks like? What do you think, like those deeper questions that people want to know? Like, I don't know, even as much as like, even with Simone aggravating me with the Edwin questions, I feel like that was the first time that I heard someone even ask one of the guys, oh, how'd you grow up? How's your relationship, with your family? Like, that is one thing I will say about Simone. Like, she is very straightforward, but she's also going to ask questions that matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really wish that Rashid would have fought a little bit harder to keep Simone, because I feel like there's a better connection with him and Simone versus Adriana. You guys, we see Joy and Edwin. They're like sitting out, having a conversation. He's giving his long spiel about his PTSD and him having he was feeling heavy and how he needed to go, put his feet in the sand or whatever he was talking about. And clearly, Joy has checked out. I feel like Joy likes him as a person, but I don't feel like she's interested in ever having him as a partner. Honestly, it's crazy to me how fast the women were interested and how many have checked out from Edwin real quick. Like, Joy, I have not really heard her be interested in Edwin besides her talking to him right now. And like, for her, the PTSD, it's a red flag. Winter, I have not heard Winter even mention Edwin's name anymore. Like, I have not heard her say anything about Edwin since they had that double date. So I'm like, who is here to check for Edwin? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, but you might be on your way out the door, sir. So, as we all know, Anthony has a thing for Winter. So he ends up, going on a walk with her so they can have a little chit chat. And they run into Jay. And, Jay's like, oh, I see you got my girl on your arm or whatever. And Anthony just kind of like steps out the way and lets him like hug Winter or whatever. Now, Winter feels some type of way, because she's like, no, I want Anthony to fight for me. I want him to be like, no, this is my girl, blase, blah. Listen, I understand, because baby girl is so tired of being everybody's number two. But at the same time, why are you giving Anthony that energy, but you wouldn't give Jay that energy? Like, you were so worried about how Joy was going to feel if Jay even spoke to you. So why are you expecting Anthony to do that and not Jay? And also, as much as I really like Winter, but at the same time, I'm like, these ladies are literally playing a whole other game versus the guys, because I feel like Anthony is just very chill and very relaxed. I feel like that's just a part of his personality, and I feel like when it comes to the guys, they're not jealous of each other. They're not, trying to compete with each other. Like, they know that technically it's a little competition, but everyone is remaining calm. Everybody is remaining cool this season. So the only people who are competing are the ladies. Like, you have Denise who's getting jealous. You have Winter who wants to be chose up already. And it's like, these guys they're just here to have fun. And like I said on one of my previous reviews, the ladies are here for marriage. The guys are here to say, hey, let me just get to know you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the ladies want a relationship. They want to, talk marriage. The ladies are asking about finances. They're asking about, starting a family, all these things. While the guys are just like, oh yeah, I like the way you look. I like your vibe. I like your style. These guys are very surface. They are just here to say hello to you, see if we can go on a few cute little dates, and then maybe once we get to like the last episode, be like, oh yeah, I want you to be my girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like the ladies are expecting so much more out of these guys, and the guys are not willing to give that. So back to the date. Sorry, I went off a little off track there, but Anthony basically asked Winter, what does she want long term in a relationship or whatever, and Winter, of course, she gives like great answers, and because she has been married before, I feel like she is not afraid to get her heart broken, and that's all fine and dandy. I mean, I do like Winter and Anthony, but I just feel like there's just something about him and Denise for me that I like a little bit better. Oh gosh, so we see Brian and Alex. This is just basically her reiterating how much she dislikes, how much he doesn't listen, and how, he tries to make everything lighthearted when everything is not funny, everything is not a joke, and that's just like who he is. We also find out that he has not been in love, I guess, anytime recently, and, she felt some type of way about that. Here's my thing, though, because, again, we keep on this show, I feel like there's just so much projection that is happening. With the type of guy that Brian is, how he's like a jokester and how he never takes anything serious, girl, I don't know how your mind's blown that he hasn't been in love while he's been in his 30s. He just seems like the type of guy, to me, that maybe he dated someone when he was younger, when he was in like his 20s, the shit went left, and it kind of broke his little heart. And after that, he just became like the guy who dates around, has his fun, and that, may have been that. Or also he may have dated a few women, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was the guy who messed it up and cheated. Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know what we're expecting out of Brian, because when you think about it, just a couple of episodes, we found out that he had a daughter. His daughter is 3 years old, right? So you mean to tell me 3 years ago, you were not in love with, the woman you had a child with. Now, I don't know what that relationship was like, but, a baby just happened to come out of it. I don't know. It may not have even been a relationship. It may have been just like a hookup. You know what I'm saying? And as far as him not being in love, I'm like, I don't know how old Brian is, but it is kind of BS to send somebody home because they haven't been in a relationship. Not a relationship, I'm sorry. This person hasn't been in love within like the last, I don't know, 5-10 years. Because at the end of the day, maybe he was not ready at that time. But now, even though I don't see it, but I'm just trying to, throw the guy a bone. Maybe now he's ready to actually find someone. He's ready to settle down. Because at the end of the day, how much does a guy love you if he will possibly cheat on you? Because think about it this way. Let's say he had been in love. He could have been in love 5 times over, and he could have cheated in every one of those relationships. And then what? Because love wasn't going to keep him at home. So moving forward, maybe he had to get all his running out. Maybe he had to get all his cheating out. You know what I'm saying? So that now he's prepared to actually settle down. Now that may be, for anyone else that's in that situation, maybe not Brian, but like I do feel like that's kind of a petty reason to send somebody home. You know what I mean? Even though I feel like, Brian had other things that were going on that were a reason. I don't know. I just feel like that wasn't one thing that I would probably list. Oh gosh, you guys. So we see Simone, and she's out here trying to make her rounds with the guys. And it's like, no, you look desperate. Go find Rashid. Go throw yourself at him, girl. Stay focused on what you need to be focused on. She's over here in Kalfani's face, and I'm actually, grateful for him to tell her, like, up front, hey, I'm already interested in Adriana. And I'm not even sure if he even mentioned Denise, because, she ain't on his radar. So he wasn't interested. So then we see her go talk to Brian, and she's like, oh yeah, I want to get to know you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, girl, you do not want to get to know Brian. Nobody wants to get to know Brian. So Tommy ends up gathering everyone together or whatever, and we do happen to see, Adriana, she's talking to Calfani again. You know what I'm saying? They're just so giggly, and again, he's putting all this effort into Adriana. I feel like he didn't speak to Denise this whole episode. So we then see Anthony. He's having a conversation with Tommy, and I can't lie, what Tommy told him was absolutely right. Like, you need to make a decision because, every woman wants to be chosen. However, I hate that he only had this conversation with Anthony, because I'm sorry, Anthony is not the only guy who has not made a choice. Jay has not made a choice. Edwin has not made a choice. Calfani has not made a choice. Rashid has not made a choice. Brian, he basically made a choice. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else that I'm missing? If there is, whoever they are, they have not made a choice. So for Tommy to try to pull Anthony aside, I'm like, I'm sorry, can you go tell Calfani that? Because he's still thinking that, Denise just supposed to be waiting on him. Can you please go tell Jay that? Because he's basically has Winter waiting around. You know what I mean? Can you please tell Edwin that so that somebody knows that, he's actually into them? So, this puts the battery in Anthony's back. So he goes and he talks to Winter. Now, I feel like he was coming up to her just trying to be real up front. Like, you know what? Both of you are really fantastic women, and this is hard for me to decide. Now, she shuts it down, and she's like, oh, I don't want to hear about no other woman. And I'm like, girl, you sat up there and had a double date with Joy. So I feel like she just has a whole different demeanor and different standard when it comes to Anthony versus Jay. And if anyone else notices that, drop the comment down below. So, she's like, I only want to hear about you talking about me or whatever. And, he tries to say whatever he was trying to say. And, she basically lets him know that she wants him to fight for her. And she wants him to, approach her even if other guys are talking to her. And I'm like, first of all, that's kind of rude. Because basically you're saying you want him to do the same thing that Adriana did to Denise. Y'all remember that episode where Denise, she was playing pool with Calfani, and Adriana pulled him away and went to go hug up with him on the couch, like as if he wasn't already doing something with somebody else. So you want these men to basically fight over you, and I'm sorry, but men don't move that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, especially not these guys. Like, I just don't feel like that's in their nature to move in that type of way. So Tommy talks to everyone separately, as he talks to the guys and then he talks to the ladies. And for the guys, the lady that they weren't feeling was Simone, of course, because she was out here hopping from person to person to person. And I was like, girl, you don't have to do that. And then for the ladies, the guy that they were feeling the least was actually Edwin and Brian. Edwin because of the PTSD, like I said, and Brian because he just don't listen and all the ladies are over him. The only woman who was even interested in him was Alex. So when it comes the time for, them to send someone home, we have Edwin up there and he sends Simone home. He tries to be really nice about it. And I just feel like, damn it, Simone, you should have been with Rashid. And then we have, who got up there? Alex got up there to send Brian home or whatever. But honestly, I'm like, at this point, girl, who you got? Because Brian was the only guy who was, really interested in her. So I feel like next to go home, it could be Alex for the ladies. And then for the guys, trying to think, who do I think would probably go home? Probably Edwin, because the ladies aren't really feeling him that much anymore. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think of this episode. Let me know what you guys think will happen on the next episode. Go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.